Okay, good afternoon. We are today on a milling machine and we are going to work on a small project. We have this as raw material. It's a block, aluminum, and we want to manufacture this from here. And our print also here designates the dimensions that we want to follow. And we want to put a groove in, and we're going to put chamfers on it. And it dictates what they're supposed to be. So to start right now, we want to get the dimension in on the block, and according to the dimensions that we have in our raw material, we need to machine material off the sides of this end and this end to bring this dimension in, and we're going to bring the rest of the dimensions in. They look pretty good. And we're going to get a little bit of a finish on these two to give us our block so that we can proceed to make the groove and the chamfers. Okay, first thing we want to do to get started here is we want to take a look at the machine. I know that the machine, all the axes have been checked and zeroed, indicated, so we know we're square and we're flat in all the directions we want to go. What we're going to do right now is we're going to open the vise, and we're going to make sure all the surfaces are clean, and we're going to go in here and make sure everything is clean. Okay, my recommendation to start, we're going to use this vise, is to hold this part, and my preference would be to hold it, and we're going to use a square because this surface that we have on here is square, and we are going to close this vise. And we know that this particular side is square to the bottom. And we're going to close it down, and we can come over and we can double check both sides. And we are square on this side and this side, so we're parallel to the sides. This will be perpendicular to this side after we machine it. Okay. What we need to do now is replace this end mill with a shell mill, and that's done by, we'll put this here for the moment, by removing this, get a little ladder, and we're going to come up. We have our tool to loosen the drawbar. We're going to make sure that the quill is all the way up and locked. That gives us full access to the drawbar. And this is our brake. I highly recommend be very careful with the brake. It's very close to the on-off switch. You could have a problem if you slip off. Be careful. So we're going to make sure we're on it with our left hand. We're going to come up, engage with the open end part of the wrench, and we're going to loosen it. And we go a little bit of a turn, and just tap it, and then it releases the end mill. Now, in this particular case, the shell mill shaft is an R8, so we need to remove the R8 collet for the end mill. Just loosen the drawbar and it frees up the R8 collet and the end mill. We'll put these on the side, we're going to need them later. Now, come over, make sure we find out that our spindle is clean. We find the key is back in that direction. Make sure our R8 shaft on the shell mill is correct. Come up, line up the key slot. Bring that up, get our drawbar and tighten it. And again, the open end part of the wrench is highly recommended. Get your hand on the brake, snug it up, and we're good. Now, if you want to know the reason I use the open end rather than a box wrench, if you use a box wrench up there, it's locked on the spindle. If for somehow, some reason, something goes on, this ain't coming off, it could be disastrous. If it's the open end on there, it has a chance of slipping off. Highly recommend use the open end. Now, spindle speed, we're doing about 600, that's plenty fine. You have 5 inserts on the cutter. Things seem to be pretty good. I'm going to put it on forwards. Highly recommend. Get your hand on the switch for forwards and reverse and off. But watch your cutter. When you turn it on, you want to make sure that it's going in the proper direction. A lot of students, a lot of people, if they're not sure, if they come up and they turn it on, it's spinning, you really can't tell whether it's going in reverse or forwards. But most of the time, if you stand there, if you look at the cutter and you turn it on, you can see how it starts, and we're in the right direction for forward. The reason I say that, the machine has the capability of going in reverse to cut forwards. That's in back gear, so you have to be careful. Okay, we have on the machine our locks. This is our long feed locks. There's 2. We have a cross feed lock, traverse over here, and we have the knee lock over here. What we're going to do right now, we have them all unlocked. We're going to position the part to mill across. Okay. I'm bringing the quill down a little, and I'm going to lock it in a relatively nice position. Then I'm going to bring my traverse over a little bit. I'm going to come over to my knee. I'm going to raise the table a little bit. I'm going to bring my long feet over. Make sure I have enough running room. And let's just see what we have. It looks good. Okay.